Best memory England-Scotland is about 5 or 6 years ago when I played 3 to Greg and we played Tatty and Paul. Paul played 3 to Tatty, and I think the final score on our rink was sort of 1 in it, 16-17 or something like that. And I couldn't tell you what went on any other rink on the green, but because it was so intense on our rink, that was my best memory so far.
Scotland matches are unbelievable. I'll never forget 2 or 3 years ago, Scotland playing internationals, came down to the last game, last ball, Scotland victorious. You can't beat it.
Just long time for me. I think if I've got to look at one, I would have said my first cap in '88 in Hartlepool. Obviously it was exciting for me, I was only young then, but I always remember coming off and celebrating, thinking we're celebrating. And this is what happens with the England-Scotland game. You celebrate, but something bad can happen. And I think you spoke about David Bryant early on, and I think David was last on, and I think he dropped a 6, and we lost by 1. And I looked at Andy Thompson, I was leading for Andy Thompson then, and that was quite bad, pretty bad. But again, they all go down the wire. You think that last year's went down the wire, Tatty line on the green, 1 shot again. You know, it's like, it happens, it seems to happen all the time.
My highlight of my career is go to Potters down in England and playing against English to win the World Championship, what I did last year, so that's probably the best highlight of my career.
Probably have to be the first year I was picked to skip for England. We were last rink on the green against Graham Robertson, and we had to avoid dropping a 2 or worse to win the series, and we managed to drop a 1, win the series, and cue some good celebrations.
Highlight England-Scotland. I've had a lot of highs and a lot of lows against the old enemy, but I must say beating Jimmy Chesney and Graham Shadwell in the bronze playoff, which allowed us to go for gold in Adelaide. Very close game, but it was again good to put one over the old enemy.
Best memory was about 3 or 4 years ago up in Perth. We played against Willie Wood, who was even then was still in his best, and for the first 10 or 11 ends he never sent a ball anywhere near. He really struggled, and then for 11 ends it was the best skipping performance I've ever seen. He just like a switch went off in him, and we ended up drawing the game, but we managed to win the overall series. But just to watch somebody play that, that kind of performance on the same rink was just a pleasure to watch. Fortunately, we drew that game, won the overall, and that was probably the best moment in the games.
Right, probably at the Junior Internationals, probably about 2 years ago. My skip in particular, Perry Martin, he played 2 ends, one after the other, took a bowl out for 5, trouser jack for 6 the following end. There's just no better feeling than playing 2 great bowls like that against Scotland.
Most memorable is in Swansea, when we were about 9 down with 4 rinks to play, and Jamie Chesney went through a hole that wasn't there twice, so it was pretty memorable, that, so that's what I remember, and we won it in the end, so it was great.
Best memory in Scotland? I had quite a lot actually, to be fair. Probably one of my best memories, I was playing in the team. David Ward, late David Ward, he's dead now, was playing at National Skip, and was playing against a skip called Robert McCulloch, Scotland. Aberdeen, about in the early 90s, and David was 6 down. Robert McCulloch ran down the green, got the whole crowd, big bank of crowd going, chucked his cloth up in the air, got him really going into it. David Ward was very laid back, talked about making a bit of noise and stuff like that. He just walked back to the mat with his hand in his pocket, stood on the mat, lots of pressure, copped his wood up in his hand a couple of times, how he did, draw the front toucher, drew the shot. He walked down the green about 10 yards and just copped his cloth up in the air about a foot high, picked it up, put it in his pocket and walked back. And the crowd went from up there to down there in instants, and on Scotland on the own turf, that's what you call international skip, and there's pressure at the best, and I can remember that, and that's probably, that is 20 years, over 20 years ago.
I'm not very good at remembering games. I can't remember one to be so, but I know that every game that I played has been very eventful. It's never a dull moment. Been a few words said on the greens. It's never a friendly atmosphere, but it should be a close game this weekend. I'm really looking forward to it.